Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Enterprising Minds. We are recording. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. That's coming up and or past, depending on when this goes live. But anyway, some interesting things to talk about. Alex, you have recently started playing around with agents in Copilot. So very curious about that. Right. Because I've yet to use that. And then I attended a very interesting free AI webinar specifically on writers, like AI for writers, which we're going to talk about. So Alex, why don't you go ahead with the AI robots and what you are discovering with that?
Yeah, so that's been a really interesting experience. So I have now access to Copilot Studio. There's a bunch of different Microsoft 365 licenses, depending on which one you see and are experiencing. Basically, you'll see one of three ways. First is, can you pull up Copilot in, let's say, PowerPoint and have it create slides for you? If you can't, you're on kind of a Copilot chat version, which the chat version is quite terrible, so I'm sorry. If you're on the version where it can create slides, cool, you've got Copilot basically within your own files, so you can say, what were the last 5 things I promised in the last 2 weeks in emails, Teams chat, whatever, and it'll cull through all of those and give you that list, which is great. I mean, it's a very useful kind of office assistant when you have that version of it. So not the chat version, but you have this kind of next level. And then there's a version after that, which is Copilot Studio. Kind of runs along with Power Automate. It's an older product, which kind of allows you to set things up. If you're familiar with N8N or Make, it's more akin to that. Copilot Studio is a really in-depth agent creator, and it is significantly different than creating GPTs with ChatGPT or with agents with Claude. I would put it this way. I created one and all it gives you is outlines for presentations. It doesn't actually make the file, just an outline, suggested outline. It's like 3.5 hours. Took me to create an agent to just do that, right?
Is it more like technical setups, like more code based, or is it like what everybody else is familiar with in like Claude Code where you can just, explain it and it'll do it?
You can't really, so you can try. It even has like a starting mode where it's like, tell me what the agent should do. And if you start going that direction, it's not great, basically. So more of it gets into exactly how you're writing your instructions, exactly what knowledge base files you're giving it so that it will refer off of and run off of. What model you select, which you can have it select anything that your IT has allowed you to have. So it could be Grok, it could be Claude, any of the models, Sonnet, Opus, whatever. It could be ChatGPT, any of their models as well. All of those are available within it, so your agent can run off of any of them. So in a way, you kind of get, through an agent, free access to one of these tools. And as a studio creator myself, so Copilot Studio agents, I can publish them to the company's teams, and an individual who only has like the chat version, the really like low level, can still add it to teams, my agents to teams, and then can start using them via that. So they can't make their own, and they can't like really kind of get off script with it, but they can at least make use of it. It's also very, very literal. So if you say, hey, this is an agent that will help you do X, it will only do X and it will refuse everything else. So I've even got to the point of creating a separate agent. Go ahead.
Do you think that they've specifically optimized this for corporate governance? I mean, it sounds like it. If it's like
100%,
it's only
100%.
doing the one thing.
And it can be very specific about what files it has access to, what systems. There's a whole thing called a Dataverse, which allows access to other files. Like it gets really, really specific. One cool thing is creating sub-agents is fairly straightforward. Basically, you're just creating agent after agent, and in one of them, you start listing out sub-agents, which is the direction I want. And this was something I heard that I might get access to, and I've spent a couple of weeks trying to figure out the organizational change management aspects of this, because there are people in the org who are resistant to AI. There are people in the org who
Mm-hmm.
are massive proponents of it. A lot of people are in this like hidden community piece where, did you
Mm-hmm.
use Claude? It becomes like this, like, almost shaming, but also like just curious question, right? So it's like, fess up, did you use AI? There's that, kind of negative side to it, or the positive side of like, hey, you can use, ChatGPT for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, is this allowed or is this not allowed? And depending on your IT's policies, likely you could probably talk strategy and kind of high level stuff with an outside agent, but once you can't get anything specific with your company private information, sharing spreadsheets and
Right.
saying, hey, make a deck out of this or something like that. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
start to cross lines there. But that's kind of the cool thing also with this is is what I was doing right before this call, was creating a general purpose agent that literally is just running Claude's Opus, their high level model, which in my personal life I run out of credits with, partway through the day and I'm done for the day. Like it's kind of rough that way. It's kind of annoying. But I'm able to now grant that to everybody. So now everybody can have a Claude Opus, which is like a paid Claude license, and they can access it through the agent that I built. And I give it instructions to be very helpful. So it will do whatever you ask it to do. If you can ask, for text models, I was asked the same thing, which is, tell me about the ostrich war in the 1930s, and then like 500 words, I am a contaminator only, something like that. Which basically, it's emo war from Australia. It's the wrong one, so it has to like cull through those files and stuff like that. But it tests basically its capabilities, summarization abilities, what kind of language it's using, does it work well, that kind of thing. And a general purpose one, if you give it the instructions to be general purpose, it will allow it. Any other one will absolutely not allow it. They'll really lock it down really quick. But the cool thing, so getting to the change management aspect, what I decided was to create this kind of tool bench workbench thing, where I release one thing, one install in Teams, and I keep adding agents to it over time. So its abilities keep expanding as I keep building out these sub agents. So I got a whole giant roadmap of all these different things. And it's been cool. I mean, to have the abilities is great. The big piece is, will it be picked up within the company? And I do get full analytics, you even get full lists of everybody who said what in their entire conversations. Like, it's all in there. So I don't know. It's right now, it's something that there's a lot of learning curve to it. And creating a chat agent is fairly doable. It takes quite a few hours to kind of get into it, but fine. Creating something that can create files is like an entirely different situation. And then adding those MCP connections, considering all the data privacy connection pieces there is down the way, is also way the heck out there. So it's a little frustrating because if I was doing this personal life, I'd have all three of those things already done within the first day. This,
Right.
it's going to be 6 months, maybe, before it starts, connecting to different data providers and systems and stuff like that. Even like trusted ones. It's a ton of work. So I can definitely see also, I don't know, what's your opinion on this, kind of a rise of this kind of weird MarTech implementation role where you're doing AI orchestration. There's some jobs out there already for something similar to that, but this is the first time where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm literally spending full days on this. Versus before, if I was working with Claude, I mean, it'd be done within an hour or two, and it's not a job.
Right.
This
I think
is a job.
the way that most people are using these things is still vastly just the chat experience. Right. I forget what the exact numbers are on a recent study that came out, but it's still majority just chat.
That's true.
And then even with that, right? I mean, sitting there and prompting is still a main consideration. Like, are you actually good at giving it enough context, telling it exactly what you need it to do, and actually taking the time to do that? I was talking to a scientist the other day who does a lot of research, and he's like, I've never gotten it to, work for me. It's like, okay, but what did you do? He's like, well, I uploaded the files and I said, tell me what you know. I'm like, well, that's not That's not good enough. Like,
No, it isn't. Oh man, that feels so much like the constant client response when you're in an agency. Of, oh, we
mhm,
tried. It doesn't matter. We tried paid search once, it didn't work. We tried social media once, and it didn't work. And it's like, wait,
mhm.
wait, wait, wait. Explain. Well,
Yeah.
10 years ago, we once
Right.
tried this horribly like confused campaign, and we had no idea what we were doing, and it turned out it sucked.
Mhm.
So, clearly the platform doesn't work for our entire company and any interests ever for any campaign. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like,
is that, how do I gently
really?
tell you the problem is actually you? Is
I
it?
know. Every time I'm like, I'm sorry, but likely you had no idea what you were doing.
Mhm.
And the systems make it look easy, but there's a big difference between, the beginner and the expert with any of these systems.
Right. Yeah, it was an interesting thing with that I've been thinking about where the early adopters for a lot of this stuff are either already coders and already hyper technical, or they're sort of highly technical adjacent, which I would put you and I kind of both in that, where I know enough to be
SEOs.
dangerous, but yeah, yeah, SEOs would be a good category. Where you know how the back end works, but you're not about to necessarily code anything yourself. I mean, some might, but others won't. Like, um,
100%. Yep.
yeah. And then you have everybody else who specifically didn't get into SEO because it was too technical and they just wanted to, put the credit card down into paid search and call it good, right? Because they're just better at other things, right? Not that they're bad at it, just that they're better at other things. They've taken the time with other things. Um, and I mean, that adoption curve is really at that skill set level, I think, because, so many people in my experience, um, are still stuck on, well, I need a presentation for Thursday. And if it can't just make a good presentation in this brand standards, then I'm just going to type everything. And it's like, well, you have to like sit and think about it a little bit. It might not be as quick as you just copying that presentation from 4 months ago. Um, but you could actually get some additional insight in it because you might actually have the time to look at the data in the campaigns you've done in the last 4 months, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff that can happen that can be good, but I just don't see a lot of people taking that. Um, so to that point, like the adoption of agents into the larger organization, I think, yeah, that frustration for me is definitely there because I'm sitting there with the approved tools going, God, I know what's possible with my personal stuff and I know
Yeah.
what I can do, so then I'm sitting in these meetings where they're like, so, it would be really cool if you could tell us like what you're doing with AI or like really, come up with a stretch goal for yourself and see what you can do with our thing. And by the end of the year, have at least one project. And it's like, man, you have no idea what I've been doing, when I go home. Like, I can't even tell you about this stuff because you won't even let me replicate any of it, you know? Um,
Let me put it this way with Studio, now that I have access to building that,
mhm,
definitely is that there's like maybe another two levels above beginner who has no idea and just playing with the interface, expert
right,
who kind of understands it. I would put the expert kind of at the same level, which I think people will get to, which is when you type into Google restaurant near me. It's a weird
right,
thing to say and type in, but you've learned the system well enough to know that that's the way you want it to respond, right?
right,
So it's like you got to get to that level. And then the next layer up is like designing agent systems, co-work, code, whatever, any of those systems.
hmm,
Because then you're in the point of like instructions, few shot versus zero shot, which means providing a couple of examples versus not providing any examples at all, which a lot of people make that mistake when they just say, here's one thing, make it perfect. It's like you sent that to an intern, they would fail at this. Like, let's try to be a little nicer to the system and try to understand it's going to give it a little bit more context to figure out what's going on.
hmm,
And probably the next layer after that starts to get back into that development layer where they're doing the MCP kind of API connections between an AI LLM and some sort of system like Google Analytics or Salesforce or SAP or something like that. That kind of connection is like another step up. And that's totally to the side of like people who are doing like machine learning, computer vision kind of stuff. So there's like all these different technical layers, I think, to this thing. I mean, it is like an onion where there is a lot of layers to all these different skills. And once you start getting pushed into, like myself, getting pushed into this agent building thing, I had to very quickly pick up a lot of things that I've kind of casually seen, like the few shot, zero shot thing. Like I've seen that,
Right.
but I haven't taken it to heart, and then also starting to like come up with test examples and test sets and all the rest of this stuff. But I got to say, to the slow speed, I'm able to produce an agent a day.
Right.
This thing is way different than it was a week ago. And I got access about 2 weeks ago, and I built this entire thing in that time frame. And now can create Google ads for you using brand standards, copy, everything. It can locate creative for you. It will build out the entire campaign. It'll give you 10 different ideas with ICPs and everything, personas, everything. It'll now, as of today, also build out Bing campaigns and LinkedIn ad campaigns as well. It can do all of that from one prompt.
Right.
Like 10 different full campaigns from one. Like, there's so much ability once you can like get access to this stuff. And it's like, there's so much frustration coming out with this of being like, oh man, why can't we do this at work? So it's like building in those systems is, I'm on the other side of the fence from you. You're stuck on the other side of the wall. Or you're walled away from doing something that would be way faster.
Yeah, and like the really nice thing in my own personal like workflows that has been a really big unlock for me was I took an afternoon, and again, it wasn't like me sitting down and typing everything out because I lose attention with that really quickly. But I sat down and I just recorded a like voice memo to myself, which I was able to get the transcript from to then have as the context into the conversation, right? I said, here's what I'm trying to do. I've got this, this personal brand and this podcast that I'm doing, and across 2026, I want to do this, but I'm feeling this way because I feel like I'm just in to-do list mode and never actually being strategic and yada, 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 right?
Yeah.
And I explained the whole thing, the whole context, right? Here's what I'd like to have happen. Here's what's happening. Here's the realities. I only have like 6 to 12 hours a week to put towards any of this because I'm also a dad. I also have a job. I also coach. I also, have all these other things.
Right.
So I connected the Asana project management tool, the free version that they allow you to have. So I'm not spending any money other than on, the $20 Claude, version. And after we talked about the strategic direction, any gaps that I had, realized I didn't have any brand standards, like officially for like my personal brand. I had some logos and I had some whatevers, but not actually like a guide I could pass over. So then created the brand standards file, which is now uploaded as context for like almost everything.
Sure.
And then it went and it created an entire 2026 Asana project with the individual tasks with descriptions assigned to me, due dates, all of this stuff, for the rest of the year, tied to the roadmap we created. So then now I wake up and every week I get an email saying, hey, you have 5 tasks due this week. And I can load up that conversation with Claude and it'll be like, hey, this was the last thing we worked on. We didn't finish it. Do you want to tackle it now or do you want to do something else? And then whenever I finish something, it goes into Asana and it marks it as complete.
Cool.
Or it will leave a comment on, we only partially finished this. These things still need to be done.
So you have an admin / project manager.
Right. And the custom project that I created was a Dave Doherty co-CEO. So it has all of the analytics from all of my social profiles, all of my website stuff, It has all the brand standards from everything I'm trying to do. It had like all of that
Nice.
stuff, and it has all that context. So then I can say, hey, am I being strategic if I do this, that, and the other, or am I being completely like, like a cat chasing a laser right now? Like I need to, I need to focus.
That's a really good visual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that.
Cause yeah, I was realizing I wasn't giving myself any credit for all of the stuff I was able to accomplish. And so even
Sure.
though I was spending full days creating these really cool things and knocking out just a ridiculous amount of work, I was still walking away every day going like, man, what did I actually do though? So
Yeah.
then now as part of that, I have since Claude is so willing to tell you you're an awesome human being, um, I have it reiterate everything that we accomplished in the session. So then by the time I'm leaving my computer, it's going, hey, just a reminder, you just knocked
Smart.
out 20 things.
Yeah.
You should feel good about that. I was like, you know what? I do. Thank you.
You know that it is the psychopathic like kind of aspect of it, but I'm really tempted to add that to mine as well because that's always the thing. I'm always staring at what's left on the list, not what has been done, and then like
Right.
that list. As things get more complex, so you keep going on projects and all the rest. It gets longer and longer. It never ends. So it's, whew, yeah, fair point.
Yeah, because then it's like, and I mean, I did
Cat
that.
chasing laser. Sorry, it's really fitting. I get that, like, especially like the scattering pause being like this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. You go this direction. It's like, yeah, frantically. And what did you accomplish in the last 10 moves?
And do you ever catch it? No, because the goalposts always move, right?
Right.
So yeah, that was one of the cool things that I realized just psychologically. And again, it's like I know it's like a placebo effect for myself. But like most placebo effects, it works. And
Yep.
it's been nice, because I realized for the last 3 years, this idea for the project management piece and the giving myself credit for all the stuff that was accomplished came because I realized I had been reading all of this stuff or listening to all these audiobooks, but I wasn't keeping track of any of them. So then I get to the end of the year going, man, I need to read more. Like, what am I doing? So I created a book tracker with Claude. I think I've talked about it before
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
podcast, but yeah, I mean, it was bonkers because I was looking at it and like, okay, we're in the beginning of May and I'm already at like 4,600 pages. I think I'm doing okay.
Still got this thing.
The Post-it sphere. Nice.
Yeah.
It still exists.
It still exists. It still has some use. Should make more use out of it. But for our audio listeners, I created a thing with our old team, which was just a wood block with a metal rod in it, so we could take our Post-its and kind of spike it through the rod. And eventually we filled the entire thing. And it was the same point. It was, look at all we've done, because we were burning through to-dos like crazy. Kanban constantly was moving. It was one of the fastest moving teams I've ever been part of.
Right.
But we never stopped to actually recognize anything. And you'd launch something, but then there'd be issues. So it was like never-ending projects. You never feel like we did it. There was no point where you can actually like say you're done. Instead, it was just we did it, but also there was all these 5 other things that we never got to. So man, I feel bad about those. So we should keep working on those forever. That's smart, Dave. That's a cool project.
Yeah, I would highly recommend if anybody else, does this or wants recommendations, reach out, let me know. I'll be happy to give you.
I heard of some people using Obsidian. Haven't used it. Kind of a note-taking tool.
Yeah, I don't know.
Free version is apparently pretty decent, but it was also security-wise, there was like saved locally. But I've seen a few people on LinkedIn that kind of created some kind of co-CEO sort of concept. Usually more around the programming standpoint, but
Right.
That's cool. I mean, I'd love to like get like the video or sorry, the audio notes like incorporated into it so you can have long conversations. They kind of like go through like, okay, this is the current stuff on my mind. This is the
Hmm.
priorities now. Like trying to reset the priorities constantly because things change.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if you have an iPhone and you have the voice memos app, the voice memo actually transcribes everything now. Is it
Android
100%
does too.
perfect? No. So you'll get most, it's like 95% there, right? Um,
Yeah.
so I would highly recommend, people do that. You don't need any other kind of fancy tool than what you already have. And sometimes I'll even just hit dictate on Microsoft Word if it's a quick thing or something, right?
Have you
Um,
tried the audio with straight with Claude? Like using audio input instead of typing? I've
so
struggled with
I've
it.
done that a
ChatGPT was
lot
easy.
more. Yeah, I've done that a lot more with ChatGPT and Google. Claude
Yeah.
has almost always just been on my computers.
Sure.
Um,
So it's available there anyways. Sure.
it is available, but I just haven't for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Um,
I had ChatGPT at one point, like in earbuds with my phone in my pocket, and I was out in the
mm,
garage, like organizing stuff, putting stuff away, kind of mindless stuff. And I was
right.
having it teach me. There was a form of marketing that I was getting into, so I was having to teach me terms and quiz me with questions and evaluate my answers to like interview style questions about the topic and stuff like that. It was
Oh,
actually kind of
interesting.
cool because it was like in my, headphones, it's talking away about like, yeah, that was a pretty good answer. Here's another thing you should have added to your answer if someone was asking you that question, kind of thing. It was like, it was cool because
Hmm.
I was able to like feel like I'm practicing something. I gotta say, I mean, split attention meant I wasn't getting much done from the garage cleaning standpoint. It really was, I was starting to get more focused on that, right? So
Yeah.
there is no multitask. I mean, it is always just split attention, which here and there and
Hmm.
not in between, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is interesting because like even though you can do a whole bunch of agents and set up all that stuff, and that's great. The split attention piece is something where, again, that's why I set up the hey, give me credit for what I'm doing
Yeah.
vibe, right?
Yeah.
Um, but like even this morning, I was having Claude rewrite a document with feedback that I received. Um, and then I was looking at my to-do list because it was one of those like, set it up and then let it work kind of thing. So I'm
Yeah.
looking at the to-do list and I'm like, oh, well, okay, I can open up a tab in Gemini, start this deep research thing, and then I realize, oh, I have these two agents going. Let me go get lunch. And so I went downstairs and
Yeah.
got lunch, came back, and then both of them are done. And I'm like, all right, cool. I just crossed off like three things um, in basically 4 minutes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You know, and so then I have been sitting and thinking like, man, I am exhausted by the end of the day, like mentally, but I don't feel
Yeah.
like I did much. Am I like sick? Is there something wrong
No.
with the health? Like, what's going on? No, it's just that you're doing way too much,
Yeah.
mentally.
That's the AI
Um,
burnout.
yeah, and it sneaks up on you quick.
Yeah. I've been
Because
seeing
it
a
really
lot
is
of
this like,
people.
ooh, I could do this. I could do this.
Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of people post the exact same thing where once they get into using agents and all the rest, there was one guy saying he's like, I had, 5 or 6 of them running all the time. And it was awesome because I was walking my dog. But by 11 o'clock, I was exhausted mentally,
Right.
like just
Right.
beat. And there are days where I'm really getting into this stuff. Yeah, I can definitely see there's a cognitive overload like level where it's like
Hmm.
all the micro decisions because you're evaluating this one, making a decision on it, then you're context switching now to this next one. You're very rapidly context switching back to this, right? You're trying to get through all
Yep.
this and trying to understand all the things that are going on while at the same time kind of prioritizing all of them separately above them, right? And
Right.
as well as probably doing something else like as simple as making lunch, but also probably planning out like what's going to happen this evening when the kids get home and then what are you going to make for dinner and all those other little things that kind of like are part of
Yep.
life normally are
Yep.
now. Yeah, I get that. I've been feeling the same thing. Ah,
Hmm. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll get worse or better, or I think the the optimism of, limitless productivity, I think once again will be limited by the physical body.
Honestly, when you say limitless productivity, that sounds like slavery. Then no, no, absolutely
That is a
not.
that's a different podcast episode, but I'm happy to go there. Um,
Plugged into the matrix, man. No, leave my brain alone.
um,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. So speaking of the Matrix, um,
yeah.
you and I have both been doing some creative writing
Yeah.
with AI. Um, Now, at least for me, I will say I am not having it do the writing. I'm using it in other ways so that I can still say I did the writing. Um, but I recently attended the um, AI for Writers webinar workshop
Yeah.
conference that the AI Marketing Institute put on, and they are one of my favorite AI resources. Keeping track of everything that's changing in the AI landscape, and trying to really focus in on how it impacts different areas of things. So we have no affiliation with them other than we like what they're doing. So shout out to good work, and people who seem like they're decent people. Um, but they also have a B2B or AI for B2B marketers that's coming up. So go check that out. I will most likely be there in attendance. But the interesting thing that this AI for Writers seminar covered was not just, copywriting for marketing or um, technical writing or things like that, but also how to create creative writing and what are the impacts on um, your ability to copyright whatever it is you're doing. Also, this was the first seminar, webinar, whatever you want to call them, because it's in that weird gray area. Um, One of the company employees was a certified yoga instructor. So after they slam your brain with like four presentations of this is all the stuff that AI can do, they're like, okay, we're doing chair yoga for the next 15 minutes. And at first I was like, oh, what? And then I'm like, this makes total sense because my
Yeah.
brain was going 12,000 miles an hour. And then,
Yeah.
so shout out for chair yoga in the middle of a really dense topical presentation. I think more companies should adopt that. Um, Even though it's easy to laugh off, the effect is necessary.
No, I get it. I get it. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Pomodoro method. Like,
Hmm.
if you take breaks regularly, you're way better off throughout the day than trying to just burn straight throughout the day because that
Yep.
it doesn't
Yep.
really work. I mean, studies are on that. That's an easy one to say that. Yeah, you definitely need breaks. But I can
Hmm.
imagine also that that would kind of perk people up and get the questions going again. You know, if people are kind of falling asleep in the chair, kind of get them moving
Hmm.
again, but also to get them engaged again with
Yeah.
the topic versus like you got that slot that nobody wants, which is the post lunch slot, which after like an all day webinar, like, that's the worst because no one's paying
Yeah.
attention. But this would be like the opposite of that. This would be a way to like the next one would probably get one of the best responses.
Hmm. Yeah. It was an interesting thing. So I think, yeah, shout out to that. I think more of that's needed. Um, but one thing that I wanted to find out, Alex, because I know you've been writing stuff, is how you've been writing stuff. Like, what's the
Oh,
project?
sure.
Whatever you're
Yeah.
willing to share publicly at this
Yeah.
point, and then I'll run through how I've been using it, using AI for my writing, and then what's happening there. So,
Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned much about it before in the podcast, but been writing a novel, fictional work, and comedic in nature. It was just a thought that was kind of stuck in my brain for a long time, and it was like, this would be
hmm
kind of fun to write down. And explained it through to my wife, and she had like the same kind of idea. I was trying to like throw things past a few people to try to get a read on the
Right.
viability of it. But it seemed like a cool idea. So I started writing the book, using Claude as kind of like an always on editor, basically. So the way it started was, I'm interested. I'd never written a book before. I don't know what the process is. I got this cool idea. I want to spend some time writing and developing it. It was very helpful at the beginning because if you've noticed with any AI tool, it gives you, you finish your prompt, it comes back with a result, and the last sentence is always a question to continue, right?
Right.
Which was really helpful because it was like, okay, you got chapter 1 done. Do you want to start working on chapter 2? And instead of having just a blank Word doc that I save and close and say, hey, I finally got 1 chapter done, I started into chapter 2 and just kept going. It also introduced topics to me that I wasn't familiar with, such as like a character Bible. So a separate document that basically lists out every single character, personality traits, quirks, whatever, like to try to build that. Some kind of ongoing different trackers that basically help track different elements of the book as well, are kind of separated out and pulls it out. I have like a story arc overview, which all the main, to be honest, kind of comedic events that happen per chapter are all written out. But that's all 100% me. It doesn't write it. It helped collect it and turn it into artifacts, which then you have to save. It's just a Claude thing. Artifacts are basically just kind of like it's scratchpad for that chat, but it doesn't actually refer to other ones. You have to pull those files out. Recently learned that. So it's kind of good at those things. But I ran into this issue I was talking about in kind of pre-recording a little bit of there's a character I need in the next chapter. So I'm about a third of the way through the first draft of writing this book. So I needed this chapter to happen before some of the other ones that were already created. So with Claude, it gets super confused if you have the file naming and all the rest. So I had to basically spend most of an evening doing admin work, trying to clean up these files, also to reduce the token counts, to try to summarize them, some other stuff like that. So I was like, fine. Like trying to ask it every question about like absolutely every admin task I need to do. And it's like, okay, I'll just slam through all those. Which is me just playing around with files, right? So I was like, okay, why don't you give the next chapter a shot? And so it wrote out the next chapter basically while I was doing all this other stuff. At the end of that, it said, okay, do you want to do a tracker for like bits and like comedic bits and like different story arcs and stuff, or different story pieces there? I was like, sure. I wasn't thinking I would have a tracker for that, but that's fine. And it produced one, and then it started saying like things like, oh yeah, Nathan's, 2-word text responses. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. You don't repeat the same piece. If the guy is short and abrupt in his manner of speaking, it might be 3 words, it might be 2 words, it might be a text message, it might be a short comment.
Right.
That would develop that character and kind of help personify that individual. But you're not going to repeat literally this same element all the way through. And it kept trying to do that, which its sense of humor was awful. It was so funny because, one other thing that was really, really cool at the beginning was I was struggling to get, start writing. And I was like, okay, here's some authors I like. Here's the first chapter. I wrote out all the first chapter and then said, hey, rewrite this chapter as if you're these different authors. And I had printed out those sheets and actually like with a pen and paper, basically just like edited saying like, I like this part, circling it. I don't like this kind of writing. I do like this. And it helped me really nail down the tone that this fits this book. And it really makes sense for how it should be written. It shouldn't be written so chronologically it's beat by beat. Instead, it should be, piecemeal throughout the course of a year. So each chapter kind of takes place at random intervals. The development of the character, start talking about like, what is the character kind of mindset at the beginning? How is that going to start to change throughout different events? How do they start to, gain a new kind of personality as they kind of start to embody this new development of themselves? All these kind of different elements kind of like playing through all this different stuff. But it was so good at rewriting. It was absolutely amazing. Some of these really minor authors that they're 1-word pen names that they throw out some random book, but I thought it was fun. It nailed it. It was able to match their tone and their writing style so well
Mm-hmm.
Yet, 9 chapters in, it couldn't figure out mine. And it kept, oh my gosh, man, the humor was awful. Like I reread this chapter that it had written and I had like barely glanced at it. I was just going to keep on moving. And I went back to it. And it was a very inspired evening writing over 2,500 words to redo the awful chapter that it wrote because it was so bad.
Right.
It was like, there was no humor. I mean, it can't tell a joke for crap. Like, yeah, I could repeat, a book of jokes to you, but man, it can't write one. It's
Right.
just,
Well, jokes are a really challenging thing. Like I've always,
they're
with
cultural,
my English
their
nerd,
context. There's, yeah,
yeah, like with my English nerd friends, jokes really are like if you're learning a language, that is when you realize you've hit some kind of mastery. Is when
right,
you start understanding sarcasm and humor
right,
and
right,
the slang terms of that area, right?
yeah.
Um,
And I use a lot of dry wit, which can be difficult to interpret.
very hard in text, yeah.
Sarcastic, yeah,
Yeah.
sarcastic comments, that kind of stuff. All of those can be really hard to read correctly.
Hmm.
So you do have to write them very carefully into the story, and you do have to really have a good understanding of like where this character has been, develop them fully, so that when they say something kind of out of character, it's
Hmm.
recognizable as being out of character. It's like, oh, this is a really positive person. Then they have this like scathing, sarcastic comment. Like that has a lot more value to it than someone who's a pessimist the entire time, saying the same
Right.
thing. But yeah, oh,
So,
it was bad. It was so bad. It was bad.
so
Yeah.
are you actually like, hitting the keyboard with this, or are you doing the dictation with your writing, or you
Oh, I
said
write them.
Claude's only
Yeah, just
doing the editing, right?
yeah. So, I have it basically check my work and then give me feedback on chapters. So I'll write out a chapter
Okay.
and say like, what's your opinion on it? Or I feel like this section isn't quite, it's a little too lengthy. Like, give me 3 different drafts that would help tighten up this section. And usually I don't use any of them, but I get the general idea at least, and it kind of keeps my motivation going. So it's really helped to reduce writer's block and allowed me to kind of keep on going.
Mm,
I switched from Sonnet to Opus, and that was really helpful.
interesting.
Opus was still the one that wrote the really bad chapter, so it's not like it's perfect by any means, but its feedback has been better. And then trying to just organize the book and then also talk through it. There's a political nature to the book as well. And trying to talk
So,
through like, what is book promotion, publishing? I don't know anything about any of that stuff. And honestly,
right.
like I've been looking at subreddits of like self-publish and seeing some crazy comments because we're in this age of AI, which maybe what your webinar got into, because there was a person posting like, hey, I'm getting charged $7,000 to lay out my book for a print, just to lay it out so it fits the pages well. $7,000. And then someone else was
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, I used AI for that. It was free. And other people were like, oh yeah, 7,000 is totally reasonable. There's like,
Right.
whoa, 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 whoa. We went from free to $7,000 and apparently both are reasonable. Explain. Which I feel like that's like this era of AI is slamming into publishing and writers. And yeah, that conference must have been interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting because on the one hand, you have a whole bunch of people that, frankly, are in the sniper scope, as it were, of AI, right? Because one of the problems with writing, at least in a professional setting, is that everybody assumes they know how to write because
Yeah.
they speak the language. When no, actually,
No.
there is,
Marketers would
to
know.
your point of the AI agents, right? There is a specificity to things and sort of a theoretical stance where if you are enmeshed in the knowledge, if you've gone deep in that, then you would understand, these other things to make things work better, right? So, for
Right.
example, as someone with a creative writing degree, one of my things that I always look at for, feedback on my thing is the concept of Chekhov's gun. or Chekhov's rifle. Are you familiar with that?
No, that's new to me.
Okay. So this is, I'm saying this not to make you look like an idiot, but to like really demonstrate, how if you have experience in something, your prompting will be better, right? So
True.
Chekhov's rifle is essentially the idea from Anton Chekhov um, that nothing in your work
Hmm.
should be arbitrary. Everything should have a meaning. Everything should push the story forward.
Yep.
So if you introduce a rifle at the beginning of the story, by the ending of the story, that rifle has to go off.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
That makes
So
sense.
it has to be tight. It has no loose ends. Right.
Yeah.
And so, but as you know, in the creative process, it's super easy to get caught up in a whole bunch of stuff and then forget, these minute details of, oh yeah, they said that one interesting thing that would have led to this, but
Sure.
I didn't do anything with it. Creative writing is great. Editing is work. And that's what actually, you know, gets the tears of writers, basically. Are you willing to go through the suffering of editing and fighting for the
Yeah.
ideas, right?
That's where I said 1/3 of the first draft of the book, because
Right.
writing it and then rewriting it and then publishing, I feel like is like almost 3 equal projects.
Oh,
And just
you
writing the
will
book
easily go through
is not a
3 or 4
project.
different drafts before you even submit it to an editor or a agent to even get it into the publisher, and then you'll do
Oh
like
yeah.
7 more edits with the publisher. Yeah, I mean
Oh, that's gonna be painful.
it's a lot
I
of
didn't
work.
know that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. How's your writing going then?
So yeah, I decided to get back into writing. So you know, when I was a full-time musician, I was also a creative writer and freelance writer and all of that. So I am a published poet in literary
Cool.
magazines and stuff like that. But that was 20 years ago, right? And poetry, at least for me, is something that I've always really liked, but it's also very raw and very personal. So I have to be
Yep.
in a certain mindset to do it, and it
Sure.
usually makes me very sensitive afterwards, kind of like a raw nerve to the world. So as you can imagine, having a little kid running around my house is not conducive to writing writing that kind of stuff. Um,
Sure.
but I figured out a way to start doing it because it was like, you know what? This is important to me. I want to be able to do it. I'm going to do it. And I already have like 40 poems that I found in an old notebook. So I'm like, man, I'm almost to a chapbook anyway. Right.
Cool.
I'm almost at a point where I can get to, the full competition submissions. So I created an editor, and like you, I said, hey, I'm in, these are the ones that I'm interested in, but then, and not just my favorite poets, but also some of my favorite rappers and lyricists. To be like, I like what they do here. I like this person's wordplay. I like,
Oh, that's interesting.
maybe not the subject matter, but I
Sure.
love the wordplay, you
Yeah.
know. Um,
Yeah, for
so
me, I picked all
then,
novelists. You picked. Oh, that's really interesting.
yeah, so it's like here are the poets I really identify with and the rappers because rapping, spoken word basically.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
so then it's going through and it's giving me a grade as to like, hey, that first draft is trash. Here's how you can get it up to a standard where it would be candidate for submission, right? Now, with poetry, and this I'll bring this up for a lot of other people, Submittable is a tool that I've discovered and is wonderful. It's free. And almost all the literary mags are leveraging it to take the contest submissions or general submissions, if it's a free submission or if you have to pay
Okay.
to go through. So I've did my first packet, so my first collection of like 5 poems specifically for a contest. And then the nice thing, the problem with submitting poems is that you have to submit a whole bunch of them to a whole bunch of journals, and then they will eventually tell you if they take them or not. So you have to
Sure.
keep track of who you submitted to, which pieces you submitted to, because
Oh,
if it
wow.
gets accepted one where, you have to tell the other journals this one's no longer available because this other place is,
Oh,
publishing it.
sure.
So that made poetry hellish for submitting, right? Because you've got
Yeah.
50 different poems all over the place, whatever. So now Submittable is handling a lot of that. And then I've created my sort of editor with Claude to not only edit it, but then also, hey, here's this literary journal. They have this deadline for this particular thing. Does my
Sure.
voice, what I write, match what they do? So am I
Sure.
more
Is it
probable
worth
of
it?
being published? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been massively helpful. And then it's been creating a spreadsheet for us to update whenever I submit it so that I can easily look and see, okay, these were submitted to these contests or these magazines or these whatever. And it also found some interesting ones where it was like, oh, here's a medical journal that for its fall preview is also including poetry and art based on medical experiences. Well, I
Okay.
have a poem called Poem for Alzheimer's. And so I submitted that one because it happened
Oh,
to
man.
fit, that one weird thing.
Yeah. Did you
Right?
forget you
And
had
so I
that
was like,
poem?
no, I did not. Not there yet.
Had to throw something in there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of
okay.
course. Of course. But so that's
That's
been
cool.
massively helpful. Yeah. Not just to track the stuff, but then also to submit it and basically align it to be like, okay, these poems really fit this edgy, political, smaller, whatever. And then it created a tiered system of these are the ones that you really, really want to get into because then it like validates you as a writer. Here's a tier
Sure.
2 that would be great and would
Sure.
help you get to those other ones. And here are the tier 3 ones where it's like send
Just for
your
fun.
lower level stuff just to create that background.
Yeah.
And so that's been really interesting to get back into it, and it's really helped with the just the overwhelm,
cool. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, that's
so
such a big step. I mean, that's awesome that you're at that step, that you're submitting things and
yeah, because the
getting out
turnarounds
there.
are like
That's cool.
some of them are crazy. Like some of them are 6 month turnarounds.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
can totally
oh,
imagine
if
that.
I want to
Yeah.
hit my goal of publishing in 26, I have to do this now.
Yeah. Good point.
So that's been cool. Anyway, hopefully this is helpful. I think the creative case studies are an interesting thing, at least a deep dive into all of the things that we hear of. It's going to create so much more time. It's like I don't feel that.
I don't either.
But I am at least able to create more, which has been lovely. So thank you everybody for sitting with us in this. Please like, subscribe, share, or get in touch with us. What have you been doing? If you want any of our approaches on what we've talked about, reach out. We'll be happy to share them with you. And go check out the Pathways newsletter on what is that platform? Anyway, check out the Pathways newsletter and all of the other things that we have available on enterprisingminds.com. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thanks.